Chapter 261, Impatient. Why is my husband in such a hurry? It's only the third day, and he's so impatient? In the car, Su-ro furrowed her brows, a hint of displeasure on her face. To be honest, she didn't want to go yet. She planned to visit Jinglingtian again in the afternoon, hoping for a definitive answer. But Fang Hao had already gone to the Civil Affairs Bureau. She was afraid that if she angered him, he might expose her and Jinglingtian's affair, leaving her with no way out. She returned home, took the marriage certificate, and then went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. In the parking lot, she indeed saw Fang Hao. Approaching him, Fang Hao grabbed her hand and pulled her in front of his car. Take a good look at what this is. Fang Hao opened the car door, revealing the contents inside to Su-ro. Su-ro asked, "Husband, are we moving? After divorcing me, are you taking Tian away immediately? Oh, your imagination is impressive. But you remind me. I can indeed take Tian to the countryside after divorcing you." Fang Hao sneered, saying, "So, I understand now. You asked my apartment landlord to refund my rent, refused to rent to me, and even instructed the laboratory at Jiangdong University to ask me to pack up and leave immediately. I thought you were overdoing it. Jiangdong City is so big, I can find a place to stay. But, it turns out you want me to take our son to the countryside. Taking him away means I won't reveal your affair with Jinglingtian. Your scheme is quite loud. Husband, I didn't mean that. I haven't done anything." Su-ro panicked. She hadn't expected Fang Hao's apartment to be terminated. "Is that so? You've been to my lab and my apartment. Today is my deadline from you. Then all these things happen. Do you think it's a coincidence? Unfortunately, I'm not the clueless graduate student I was 4 years ago, being deceived and manipulated by you. Immediately hand me the signed divorce agreement. Once they start working, we'll go in and get divorced." Fang Hao's tone was icy, staring sternly at Su-ro. He said, "Don't daydream, or else, I'll send the evidence I have to your parents' phones. They'll immediately know what disgraceful things you've done." "No, husband, I'll sign. Just don't let my parents know." Su-ro could tell that Fang Hao was currently enraged and on the verge of losing control. She didn't dare to provoke him further. Taking the divorce agreement that Fang Hao had prepared, she said, "I've signed it. It's in my car, let me get it for you." She went to her car, retrieved a briefcase containing 2 document folders, and handed the one with a red mark to Fang Hao. When he took it, she hesitated to let go. "Give it to me." Fang Hao forcefully pulled it away, opened it, and saw the divorce agreement. Glancing through, he found both his and Su-ro's signatures. A somewhat hollow feeling settled in his heart, as if something had truly been severed. He loved this woman. If it weren't for her infidelity, he would never have considered divorce. But being betrayed by his wife with an old acquaintance, how could he, as a husband, bear it? Betrayed and humiliated in such a way, the only path left was divorce. This agreement outlined the division of property and clarified rights and obligations regarding their child. "Husband, I've signed. Can I ask you for one more thing? Considering my mom's health, can you not tell her about the divorce agreement and the divorce certificate right away?" Fang Hao replied, "Since we've already signed the divorce agreement, there's no need to call me husband. Your mom is smart, won't she figure it out herself? She'll investigate it on her own, so hiding it from her is unnecessary. If she finds out on her own, it's different from us telling her. It would be less harmful to her. Let's get the certificate first, and we can discuss the rest later." Fang Hao placed a copy of the agreement back in the car and went into the Civil Affairs Bureau with Su-ro. When they approached the divorce registration desk, Fang Hao inquired about the process. The staff at the divorce registration office, as usual, didn't discourage the divorce. Seeing Fang Hao's firm attitude and Su-ro's lack of objection, they provided them with the divorce registration statement and other documents, allowing them to voluntarily end their marriage. "I don't know if today is your luck or misfortune. You can't get divorced today, there's a problem with the computer system, and we can't print the divorce certificate." The staff tried 3 times without success, turning to Fang Hao, saying, "You see, this might be fate. Why don't you reconsider and not get divorced?" "No, we must get divorced. We can wait." Fang Hao remained resolute. The staff members were just doing their job by advising against divorce, and they might secretly be pleased about the situation. "Sit over there, and when the certificate is ready, I'll bring it to you." Knowing that Su-ro was pregnant, Fang Hao asked her to wait outside. Su-ro didn't insist, feeling unwell from lack of sleep and morning sickness. Fang Hao waited for half an hour, but seeing no progress, he wandered around. He noticed that even the marriage registration office couldn't handle their cases due to the system breakdown. Couples who couldn't get divorced that day took away the relevant documents, planning to have their lawyers handle the divorce later. One couple, too busy with work, left with the materials and decided not to divorce, embracing each other affectionately before leaving. Fang Hao, you can't be soft-hearted. Fang Hao didn't observe the attitudes of any divorcing couples, nor did he listen to any nonsense from the staff. He silently waited. During this time, Yang Wenjin called again, urging him to return to the hospital to meet with the working group, but he refused. He also declined a call from Lu Jing. Approaching noon, Fang Hao said to Su Ro, "You go home, I'll wait here. Once we have the certificate, I'll send one to you. Husband, let's wait together. After we part today, you may never want to see me again." Su Ro was unwilling. "After getting the certificate, I indeed don't want to see you again, nor will I. You betrayed me, and you've ruined everything. I hate you." Fang Hao spoke calmly, seemingly devoid of any understanding of heartbreak, only numbness. "I'm sorry." Su Ro lowered her head. Suddenly, she received a call from the kindergarten teacher, saying that Fang Jiejia's nose was bleeding suddenly, and there was bleeding in the eyes. Panicking, she handed her phone to Fang Hao, asking him to communicate with the teacher. After listening, Fang Hao instructed the teacher to call for emergency assistance, take Fang Jieji to the hospital immediately, and he and Su Ro would rush there. Leukemia? Based on his medical knowledge, Fang Hao's mind flashed with this preliminary diagnosis. His mind buzzed, well aware of the severity of this disease. "I hope not. I hope not. It must not be," he muttered to himself, his heart repeatedly breaking down. Due to the treatment of leukemia, bone marrow transplantation was a critical method, requiring a match-in-blood relationship. That meant the biological father of Jiejia, Xingling Tian, could no longer be concealed. Was this fate? Chapter 262, Finally Lost Her. Handling Fang Jiejia's case was Lu Jing. Based on the symptoms, she immediately ordered blood tests to differentiate leukemia or determine its type. Leukemia is a malignant clonal disease of hematopoietic stem cells. Leukemia cells proliferate uncontrollably, leading to disruptions in differentiation, hindered apoptosis, and accumulation in the bone marrow and other hematopoietic tissues. These cells infiltrate other non-hematopoietic tissues and organs while inhibiting normal hematopoietic function. Clinical manifestations include varying degrees of anemia, bleeding, fever from infection, as well as enlargement of the liver, spleen, lymph nodes, and bone pain. Seeing Fang Hao and Su Ro, Lu Jing asked Su Ro to accompany Jiejia while she pulled Fang Hao aside. She said, "Fang Hao, you're also a doctor, more proficient than me. I'll be frank with you, the situation doesn't look good. Could it be that bad? It's still under examination, but you need to prepare yourself mentally." "I understand." Fang Hao returned to the ward, seeing his daughter with bloodstains on her face, neck, and clothes. However, she seemed unaware of her condition and reached out for her father when she saw him. On the way to the hospital from the kindergarten, she had fainted, woke up after receiving intravenous fluids, and Fang Hao looked at her with heartache, picking her up. "Daddy, why do they make me wear this? It's ugly, and I don't like it." Jiejia extended her hand, trying to remove the wristband. "Look, your name is on it. It lets mommy and daddy know that you're a precious one." As Fang Hao spoke, he turned away and wiped his eyes. Su Ro saw it and suddenly felt a lump in her chest. She realized something. Waiting for Fang Hao to put down their daughter and finish the pulse examination, she asked, "What's wrong?" "I'm not sure, let's wait for the results." "You?" Fang Hao hesitated. "What's wrong?" "Husband, don't scare me." From Fang Hao's attitude, Su Ro sensed a hint that their daughter's situation was dire. She thought of something and said, "Recently, Jiejia gets tired after running for a while, and she often falls. Plus, she hasn't gained weight in 6 months. Is there really a problem? Don't jump to conclusions, let's wait for the results." Fang Hao remained silent, gently stroking his daughter's cheek beside him. Seeing her getting sleepy again, he comforted her to sleep. After half an hour, Lu Jing got the results and asked Fang Hao and Su Ro to come to her office. She handed the results to Fang Hao. After reading it, Fang Hao was immediately stunned. Indeed, it was leukemia. He had guessed and mentally prepared himself, but seeing the results was still hard to accept. He felt like his soul had left his body, and his body had lost all sensation. He couldn't hold the test report steadily, retreated backward, and sat on the nearby sofa, covering his head with both hands, deeply lowering it. Tears, like broken beads, fell silently. He opened his mouth, suppressing the urge to cry out loud. Lu Jing was shocked and quickly came over to console him, saying, "Fang Hao, what are you doing? You should know that although this disease is challenging, it's not incurable. Old Zhang, your mother, Xiao Xiao, that patient with severe myasthenia gravis, and others with various difficult conditions, you've treated them all quite well. Why are you losing confidence now?" Su Rou picked up the test report and, although not understanding the medical jargon, was horrified by the 3 words leukemia. "Husband, you must pull yourself together. You can definitely cure Yue Xia." She thought Fang Hao loved their daughter too much, finding it difficult to accept the reality. "Yes, Fang Hao, listen to your wife. Be brave when facing adversity, there's no regret when you wake up from a dream." Lu Jing also comforted him, offering him a tissue, but Fang Hao paid no attention. "Director, let me talk to Su Rou alone." Fang Hao forced himself. "Sure. Fang Hao, don't worry. Whatever you need, the hospital and I will provide the greatest assistance." Lu Jing patted Fang Hao's shoulder and let Su Rou comfort him. Su Rou came over and sat beside Fang Hao, asking, "Husband, what's going on? Do you know how I confirmed your affair? At a time like this, you still bring that up? Now our daughter is sick, and she needs you to take care of her. You actually bring up this matter. Are you even human? I despise you." Su Rou was stunned, then immediately furious, getting up to leave. Fang Hao firmly grabbed Su Rou's hand and said, "Do you think I'm that despicable? What I'm telling you now is how to treat Yue Xia." Su Rou stared straight at Fang Hao and said, "If you're using divorce as a condition, didn't we just divorce a moment ago? It was a system error, not my fault. Bringing this up again makes you inhuman. I thought you were a good man, and I was once saddened by the divorce. But now, I see through you completely. You're a despicable hypocrite." She slapped Fang Hao across the face, her eyes spitting flames of hatred, looking down on him. "Yes, I am despicable. I am a hypocrite. You see through me, that's good. Since you've been insisting on knowing what evidence I have, let me tell you. Yue Xia is not my daughter. You jerk. Now that Yue Xia is sick, you say this. Are you trying to shirk responsibility? Fang Hao, you make me sick. I, Su Rou, swear that I won't need a penny from you for our daughter's treatment. And you won't see our daughter again." Slap. Su Rou tried to slap Fang Hao, but he caught her wrist. Fang Hao coldly said, "Self-righteous. Let me tell you, Yue Xia is not my daughter. You need to find her biological father, Xingling Tian. Let him undergo bone marrow matching and transplant for Yue Xia to completely cure her leukemia. You, on the other hand, think I'm shirking responsibility and scheming for your assets. It's truly laughable. What are you saying? Surprising, isn't it? Yue Xia is the result of you and Xingling Tian, not mine. Otherwise, how could I confirm your affair?" Fang Hao's tears stopped, replaced by angry flames in his eyes. He lowered his voice and said, "A pair of fraternal twins, the boy is mine, and the girl is your lover's. 4 years ago on your wedding night, you had 2 grooms simultaneously. What a shameless slut. You're spouting nonsense. Is that so? I've done a paternity test, and I have scientific evidence. You think I'm like you, speaking without reason. Oh, today the paternity test results for the child in your belly also came out. Do you doubt even this scientific evidence? Ridiculous." Fang Hao let go of Su Rou and walked out. Outside, Lu Jing saw Fang Hao still in a dejected state and hurriedly came to comfort him. "Fang Hao, don't worry. Director Lu, I know everything. There's no need to comfort me. That's good. Your wife." Lu Jing saw Su Rou running out and heading outside. "She's contacting someone to find a place for treatment." Fang Hao watched Su Rou's retreating figure. He knew that at this moment, he had completely lost his beloved in his heart. But he had no regrets. Outside, Su Rou found an empty place and made a call, saying, "Ling Tian, my daughter Fang Yue Xia is your biological daughter. Fang Hao also knows about what happened 4 years ago. Ling Tian, you really have a child now. The child I gave birth to is yours. I did give birth to your child." Chapter 263, Mother's Rights. After a moment, Su Rou returned, ignoring the presence of Fang Hao beside her. She directly addressed Lu Jing, "Don't treat Yue Xia anymore. I want to transfer her." Lu Jing was surprised and looked at Fang Hao, who nodded blankly. She asked Su Rou, "Where do you want to transfer her to?" A private hospital. Su Rou glanced at Fang Hao, her tone cold, saying, Tian, too. Fine. Fang Hao understood that for Yue Xia to have a successful match, the highest probability was with Su Rou and Ling Tian as the biological parents. Tian, being the other twin, also had a high probability. Tian was his son and Su Rou's child. Even though they were divorced and had signed an agreement granting custody to him, Su Rou still had the right to take Tian for the matching process. If successful, Tian would need to donate bone marrow. Su Rou remained silent, gazing adoringly at her sleeping daughter, completely infatuated. Her heart fluttered with excitement. She hadn't expected this child to be hers and Ling Tian's. However, Fang Hao's words couldn't be entirely trusted. Ling Tian would arrange for a comprehensive paternity test later, confirming whether the child was his. This child was the fruit of their love. Lu Jing pulled Fang Hao aside and said, "What is your wife thinking? You are the best doctor, the chances of a cure are highest with you. She is the child's mother, and she has the right to decide who will treat her." Fang Hao said calmly, feeling a deep inner pain. However, he had no intention of revealing the truth to Lu Jing or anyone else. "But you are the child's father, and you have the right to." Su Rou was Yue Xia's mother. Do you not even want custody?" Seeing Fang Hao's wry smile, Lu Jing thought she was right and felt inexplicably uncomfortable. She said, "I know a lawyer in this field. If you want to fight Su Rou for custody, I will support you." "Thank you, Director, but there's no need for a legal battle." "Oh, tell your brother that I've moved. I haven't found a place yet, and my car is still full of things. Once I settle, I'll give the car to him." Fang Hao said calmly. "Lu Jing is asking for your car again? If you need it, don't give it to him. Still, give it to him. With my income and position, driving $1 million car to work is inappropriate. Not to mention, you suggested I run for office, and I should present a good image. I was planning to look for a car these days. Now that my matters are settled, I can return to my normal life." Fang Hao took out a cigarette, sniffed it, but after some thought, put it away. Soon, a helicopter arrived and landed on the hospital rooftop. Several professional doctors and nurses quickly arrived at the ward. After a brief negotiation with Su Rou, they transferred Yue Xia to their hospital bed and then wheeled her to the rooftop. Fang Hao followed, seeing Su Rou continuously looking at Yue Xia without glancing back at him. As he expected, his wife had never liked him, she only loved that old pervert Ling Tian. This woman had become the most familiar stranger to him. Standing on the rooftop, he blankly watched the helicopter ascend, leaving and disappearing into the sky. This completely took away his reliance, the softest throbbing in his heart, the most cherished thing in his life for the past 4 years. The wind rose. The wind passed. Even though there was no wind and sand anymore, he couldn't stop the tears from falling, silently streaming down. For his daughter. For his wife. For the 4 years of vanished youth, dreams, hopes, joys, and sorrows. The daughter wasn't his, but the fatherly love he invested was undeniably real. The wife didn't love him, but for 4 years, the love he gave her was as true as gold and pearls. However, everything was a lie. When the bubble burst, everything turned into a mirage. Truly, the falling flowers left a desolate heart, and the word love was more heart-wrenching than heartbreaking. Don't know how much time has passed. Fang Hao received a call, surprisingly from the Civil Affairs Bureau. They informed him that the divorce proceedings were now ready, and they could print the divorce certificate. They asked if he wanted to proceed with the divorce, and his answer was affirmative. Fang Hao left the rooftop, the hospital, hailed a taxi, and went to the Civil Affairs Bureau. He submitted the required documents, and soon, he obtained 2 divorce certificates. Fang Hao, pull yourself together. You still have parents, you still have a son, and you still have your future life. As he got into the car, he noticed the belongings in the front and back seats. He bitterly smiled. In these 4 years, the only things left for him in this city were these worthless personal belongings. Renting an apartment, living in a public house, residing in his wife's house, or his mother-in-law's villa, all were like floating duckweed, with no sense of security. Living under someone else's roof meant always appeasing others. He checked the property situation online, planning to consult about it. However, Lu Jing called, asking where he was. Fang Hao said he was out on business, and upon her request for location, he shared it. Soon, he saw Lu Jing's car at a shaded intersection, with Lu Jing standing beside it. He parked his car, approached, and asked, "Director, what's the matter?" I heard from my aunt that you can't stay in the university lab either. I visited your apartment, and I know you've been evicted. Seeing you like this, you must be looking for a place to stay. Come with me. Did the director want him to stay at her house? That would be depending on someone again. Fang Hao said, Director, I'm planning to check out a small property. If I can buy it, I'll move in directly. What property are you buying? Don't you know that my family has plenty of houses? He said he wouldn't give you one, so I'll choose one for you. If you keep being polite with me, I'll be angry with you, and we won't recognize each other anymore. Lu Jing didn't wait for a response, turned, and walked towards her car. Seeing Fang Hao still not moving, she turned back and said, Fang Hao, even if I give you an advance reward, I may need your help in the future. What kind of help? In the future? I can't predict it now, but with your excellence, I'll surely need your help. Fang Hao, when the water is clear, there are no fish, when people are too observant, there are no followers. Don't reject our goodwill. You'll only isolate yourself. Fine. I'll listen to you. Fang Hao sighed. So far, Lu Jing had been sincere to him, helping him without any ulterior motives. The two arrived at a high-end residential sales office. Lu Jing wanted to transfer a villa to Fang Hao, but he declined. Instead, he chose an ordinary house in a regular community, 3 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, approximately 120 square meters. He didn't let Lu Jing give it for free but bought it at an internal price, spending around 500,000. It was a fully furnished house, and Fang Hao moved in immediately. Lu Jing helped with the move and arranged the house. During the process, she noticed 2 brand new divorce certificates. She asked, Just got divorced? Is that why Su Ro took away the custody of your daughter and left you with nothing? If she didn't give me the custody, then Jia Jia wouldn't be my daughter. Su Ro did the right thing. Fang Hao replied, She is Jia Jia's mother, and she has the right to do so. Ah, how did you two end up like this? She never fell in love with me. Today's events were bound to happen sooner or later. Fang Hao, don't think too much. Let's go. I've asked Lao Zhang to book a table, and we'll go for a meal. I have instant noodles here. I don't want to go out. I just want to sleep now. Fang Hao, I don't know how to comfort you, but I know if you can't get out of this shadow, you'll destroy yourself. Chapter 264, Father and Son Dependent on Each Other. As night fell, in a private hospital, after several hours of testing and identification, Su Ro saw the bittersweet results. The rapid paternity test revealed that her daughter, Fang Jiejia, was the daughter of her and Ling Tian. From now on, she would be called Xing Jiejia. However, her son, Fang Tian, was not the son of Ling Tian. This puzzled Su Ro, making her wonder why she had conceived both Ling Tian's and her ex-husband Fang Hao's child that night. Yes, her ex-husband, Fang Hao. She personally messaged Fang Hao, inquiring if the divorce certificate had been obtained. Knowing it had been printed, she breathed a sigh of relief. She was free now, and she could co-parent her daughter with Ling Tian. Her worry was about her daughter's illness. The bone marrow rapid matching for her, Ling Tian, and Fang Tian did not yield a match, meaning the ideal bone marrow transplant treatment from the closest 3 individuals was not possible. Ling Tian, don't worry. Jiejia will get better. We'll raise her together. Su Ro looked at Ling Tian, who was earnestly gazing at their daughter lying on the hospital bed, feeling the fatherly love emanating from him. She couldn't help but be moved, so she embraced Ling Tian from behind, pressing her face against his back. Snap! At that moment, she heard a vibration, and it was Tian, who was on the side, looking at his phone. He didn't secure it properly and dropped it. Startled, Ling Tian turned around, glaring at Tian with displeasure. This little brat, I don't want to see him. Return him to the little turtle. Sure, I'll send him back to my parents. Su Ro, seeing her son looking down, feeling out of place in this atmosphere, felt a pang of heartache. What else was pricked, she couldn't tell. She kissed her sleeping daughter and then took her son out. In the car, she noticed her son continuously looking out the window. She asked, What's wrong with you? I miss Dad. Tian's tone was calm. Go to Grandma and Grandpa's first, then we'll call Dad to pick you up. Su Ro didn't want to see Fang Hao now, so she sent her son back to her parents' villa. Su Buiyuan and Zhou Fen saw only one child returning, and they were a bit puzzled. When Su Ro saw her parents at that moment, she suddenly thought about whether she should let her parents also undergo a bone marrow match, but considering their old age, the hope was slim. She didn't stay and told them to call Fang Hao to pick up Tian. Then, she left. Su Buiyuan and Zhou Feng both felt something unusual, especially after Tian Tian returned, sitting on the sofa, silent. How to comfort Tian Tian? He remained silent, so they had no choice but to call Fang Hao and ask him to come over. In about half an hour, Fang Hao arrived. Dad. When Tian Tian saw Fang Hao, he ran over, hugging Fang Hao's thigh tightly, not letting go. Fang Hao picked up his son, hugged him tightly, feeling for a moment. He almost cried, and this marriage had left him with little comfort. He looked at Su Buiyuan and Zhou Feng in front of him, feeling complicated. These two old people were now his ex-father-in-law and ex-mother-in-law. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It's late. You both should go to bed earlier. Tian Tian and I will go back first. Without waiting for the two to respond, he carried his son and got into the car. Watching Fang Hao leave, Su Buiyuan and Zhou Feng were still standing at the door, a bit absent-minded. The unpleasant sense of strangeness swept over them. Su Buiyuan said, "What's wrong with Fang Hao? He didn't greet us." They suddenly remembered that Fang Hao hadn't seen them for a day or two, and when they met, he didn't call them mom and dad, making them feel uneasy. Zhou Feng remained silent. Su Buiyuan said, "Xiao Rou, too. She leaves after putting down Tian Tian. I don't know what she's busy with. What about Jia Jia? Why isn't she coming back? It seems they've divorced." Zhou Feng sighed and turned back to the room, suddenly feeling inexplicably cold, hugging herself tightly. Divorced? If they really did, they should have told us. What? They're divorced? Su Buiyuan also felt a bit lost and confused for a moment, even a strange unease. He had a handle, and Fang Hao knew. In the car, Tian Tian said, "Dad, I don't like Mom's new dad. I hate him, and I hate Mom too." "Well, I hate them too. In the future, you still have Dad, and you'll be with Dad." Fang Hao also felt his nose tingling. Just a day ago, the family was still complete, but now, it was like scattered birds, each flying on its own. The joyful laughter of the family of four in the car, the harmonious atmosphere in every corner, was now replaced by the loneliness of father and son, relying on each other. This feeling was also heartbreaking. The quiet atmosphere quickly put Tian Tian to sleep. Fang Hao slowed down the car and returned to the new home. When he arrived home, he thought of waking up the child and letting him sleep first because Su Rou was very clean and didn't allow the child to sleep without taking a bath. He shook Tian Tian, but the child didn't wake up, so he gave up. He went out to read for a while, suddenly heard crying from the bedroom. He hurried in and saw the child waving his hands and kicking on the bed, crying and shouting something, vaguely calling for Mom. Fang Hao quickly went forward, picked up the child, and comforted him. After a while, the child calmed down and fell asleep on his chest. Fang Hao lay on the bed but felt no sleepiness. And in the second half of the night, Tian Tian entered a nightmare state again, kicking and screaming for Mom. Fang Hao comforted him again before letting the child sleep peacefully. A sleepless night. The next day, Fang Hao made some breakfast and went to wake up his son. Hearing his son murmuring in his sleep, with a slightly red face, he touched the child's forehead and found the temperature wasn't low. 39 degrees? Fever? Fang Hao brought the medicine box and measured the temperature. Indeed, it was 39 degrees. He quickly took measures to reduce the fever. As the temperature dropped, his son woke up, but he had no energy. He lay exhausted on Fang Hao, wanting to be held all the time. Half an hour later, Fang Hao found that his son's temperature had risen again, this time even reaching 40 degrees. Recurring fever, was it a viral infection? Fang Hao reduced the fever for his son again and then took him to the hospital. He personally filled out the form, paid the fee, and took his son for a blood test, discovering it was indeed a viral infection. He filled out the form again, paid the fee, took an 4 card, got the medicine, and gave his son an 4. Lu Jing came over, looking at this father and son with great pity. The once envy-inducing perfect family had unexpectedly fallen apart. She couldn't understand what Su Rou, this woman, was thinking, leaving such a happy family behind. She looked at the blood routine analysis and saw that Tian Tian was not infected with leukemia but a common viral infection, which reassured her. Otherwise, the probability of both twins getting sick, one with leukemia, would be quite high. These twins, one after the other, fell ill. It was really a mysterious connection. She asked, "How is your daughter doing?" Su Rou didn't tell me. The medical conditions she arranged shouldn't be bad, and some treatments are more convenient than in the provincial people's hospital. Fang Hao said bitterly. He still wanted to know Jia Jia's situation, but he didn't want to contact Su Rou. Ex-wife, Su Rou. Chapter 265, Shadows Everywhere. As the intravenous drip neared its end, Lu Yu also arrived. She looked at Fang Hao with deep sympathy, especially since he was holding Tian Tian during the infusion. Tian Tian's hand tightly gripped Fang Hao's arm, making her unable to resist wiping the corners of her eyes. She said, "Fang Hao, if there's anything you need, just let us know." "No need, I'm fine now. I'll take a few days off and stay at home with my son." Fang Hao could see that the old director was concerned about him, which gave him some comfort. In this city, his in-laws Su Buiyuan and Zhou Fun, as well as the Su family, looked down on him. On the other hand, colleagues like Lu Yu and Lu Jing sincerely wanted to help and believed in him. This made him feel a bit of warmth in this cold city. "I'm also resigning. I'm fine now, and I can help you take care of the child." Lu Yu said, "What happened between you and Su Rou? Why didn't you tell us? It's not a glorious matter. I don't want to talk about it. I'm fine." Fang Hao stopped talking when the head nurse approached. The head nurse said, "Fang Hao, there was a call from the director's office just now. They asked you to go over when you're free." She glanced at Tian Tian and found him very handsome. She thought that when he grew up, he would probably be as charming as Fang Hao, making her jealous. Seeing that the 4-bag was empty, Li went to the nurse's station to get alcohol and cotton to remove the needle. She took Tian Tian to the vending machine, bought him something, and comforted him, instructing Fang Hao to find Yang Wenjin. "Director, I heard you were looking for me?" Fang Hao entered the director's office, sat across from Yang Wenjin, and said, "Whether to go to the health bureau is based on my own will. The contract you gave me back then was a public institution contract, not a regular one. I'm not like government staff like you who need absolute obedience. I can refuse your deployment." Yang Wenjin coldly said, "Talking to me like this, with this attitude, aren't you afraid I'll just fire you?" "Scared, so I didn't come. But if you really want to fire me, I'll kneel to you. Will that be useful?" He took out a cigarette, lit it in front of Yang Wenjin, and said, "How is your relationship with Xingling Tian?" Yang Wenjin's pupils constricted as he scrutinized Fang Hao, not understanding why he suddenly mentioned Xingling Tian. "Were you Xingling Tian's woman when you were young?" "Snap. Fang Hao, you've gone too far. Do you really think I don't want to fire you?" Yang Wenjin slammed the table, instantly furious. "Hee, if what I said hits the mark, then it hits the mark. Why are you getting so worked up? My ex-father-in-law, Su Buiyuan, and Xingling Tian get along so well that they could wear the same pants. However, when you set your sights on Su Buiyuan, you probably knew that Xingling Tian, who was far superior, had no intention of courting you, let alone marrying you. The best you couldn't get, so you settled for second best." Fang Hao sneered, saying, "At first, I thought you were targeting me because of my master, Su Yuqing. But after Su Yuqing left the Provincial People's Hospital, and you still targeted me, that didn't make sense. Later, I learned that you and Zhou Fun were love rivals. You couldn't deal with Zhou Fun, so it's quite normal to suppress her son-in-law a bit. But Zhou Fun had a heart attack recently, and she's already stepped into the ghost gate with one leg. The grudge between you and her should have been resolved. However, during this period, the Municipal Health Bureau mentioned me twice, saying they wanted me. Clearly, I have better treatment and prospects at the Provincial People's Hospital. Why do you want me to go downhill to the Health Bureau? I realized that someone couldn't stand to see me doing well and wanted to manipulate and control me. And you're just a gun in someone else's hand. After thinking about it, that person should be Xingling Tian." He didn't know about Su Rou and Xingling Tian's relationship before. He naively believed his ex-wife. But after he revealed that Jia Jia was Su Rou and Xingling Tian's daughter yesterday, Su Rou immediately treated him as a stranger. He knew then that Su Rou had always loved Xingling Tian. When a woman likes a man, she will go to great lengths to be close to him. Su Rou not only arranged for Fang Hao to work night shifts to avoid overlapping time with him, but she also didn't want Fang Hao to stand out too much. If Fang Hao became too powerful, she wouldn't be able to control him. Therefore, whenever Fang Hao gained momentum and was being valued in the hospital, he would be requested to transfer. Last time, Su Rou directly approached Yang Wenjin and had him fired from the hospital. Yang Wenjin later informed Fang Hao about it. Since Yang Wenjin didn't comply with Su Rou's request, Fang Hao deduced that Yang Wenjin was likely listening to Xingling Tian. Xingling Tian, that old lecher, with his naturally flirtatious nature, must have developed it from a young age. Judging by Yang Wenjin's facial features now, she must have been a beauty when she was young. Coupled with the vague era they lived in, she probably willingly fell into Xingling Tian's embrace, and how could Xingling Tian let her go? Dogs love to eat shit, a habit formed from a young age. There's another point. Zhou Feng looked down on Yang Wenjin not just because Zhou Feng and Su Buiyuan got together. Fang Hao suspected it might be because Zhou Feng knew that the young Yang Wenjin had been played with and then abandoned. Naturally, Zhou Feng would disdain a woman of loose morals. Yang Wenjin coldly said, Fang Hao, someone like you won't be liked by anyone. I don't need to be liked by you. It doesn't matter. You won't last much longer in this position, you're about to retire, right? Fang Hao wasn't afraid of the other party. Now that he had hit rock bottom, even if the other party stepped on him, he wouldn't get any lower. Yang Wenjin said, as long as I don't leave this position for a day, I am still the director, and I can order you around. You can refuse to go to the health bureau, but I can transfer you to the dirtiest and ugliest place in the hospital. I can still do that, right? You certainly can. But you have to understand, I hold grudges. I am younger than you. Do you think you can step on me forever just because you're older? Aren't you afraid that I'll turn the tables? When that happens, if I step on you, can you bear it? Yang Wenjin fell silent. Because Fang Hao was right. With Fang Hao's medical skills, if he managed to turn things around, it would be extraordinary. Offending a formidable doctor wouldn't be a good thing. Fang Hao continued, Yang Wenjin, have you never heard about the purpose of this reshuffle? What purpose? Ask Su Buiyuan, he'll tell you. Fang Hao stood up, leaving Yang Wenjin astonished. He left with a scornful look and a proud figure. Yang Wenjin immediately called Su Buiyuan and invited him to dinner. Seeing Fang Hao approaching, Liu handed the child back to him and asked, what did Yang Wenjin want from you? She called me twice yesterday, asking me to accept the assignment from the health bureau. I refused. Today, she wanted an explanation and to scold me, but I didn't bother. If she really fires me, I'll go to the second hospital, the traditional Chinese medicine hospital, or even the maternal and child health hospital. I won't stay in Jiangdong City, I'll go back to the county, back home. Don't think like that. With us around, you won't have such an ending. With your outstanding medical skills, you'll definitely have a stage to shine. In the future, we'll need your care. But at this moment, Tian in Fang Hao's arms suddenly said, Daddy, I miss Mommy, and I miss Jia Jia too.